Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so, as promised, we will deliver. We're gonna have a look at Metal Gear Rising. PC port specifically. Right, so this is what it looks like. You won't see a frame rate counter up, but I do have one running. So I will keep you apprised of what the frame rate is like. And do let me know if the sound levels are off, and I'll try and adjust those for you. Am I crackling? Oh, fucking Twitch. You'd think that they'd fix that. It's actually not Twitch, it's XSplit. Give me a sec. I'll fix that. Well, actually, that's just one guy that said it. Am I actually crackling on the voice? Intro. Fucking bullshit. I thought I'd fixed that. Apparently not. Give me a sec. Alright, so it actually wasn't crackling at all. Great. Okay. So people are just bullshitting. Right. Okay, so yes, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance came out last year on PS3 and Xbox 360. And it was damn good. I didn't beat it. I haven't got around to that yet. I don't have the time to beat games these days, but I did get about 5 hours into Metal Gear Rising, I think, which is actually most of the way through the game. And it's pretty fantastic. PC port for this was unexpected, but welcome. The question is whether or not the PC port is any good. Alright, so it does have a graphics options menu. There are some problems with this menu. The first one is that if you change the resolution, it does it immediately. The reason you shouldn't do that is because it takes ages to cycle through the resolution option you actually want. It does have some resolution options, it's a little limited. On the way up from 720p windowed, which is what it defaults to for some inexplicable reason, it happens to go through, I think, a couple of 16:9s. It also has 1680x1050, so it's a pretty standard 16:10 resolution. But it does seem to be lacking in some of the more common 16:10 resolution options. So that's something to bear in mind there. That's something that may be editable potentially. No, there's no drop-down menu. You have to click on it, and then you click this or press the arrow key, and it will change the resolution every time you click, which is dumb, and you should never do that, by the way. Graphical quality has low, medium, and high presets, as well as custom. The customs are affected by this lot here. So AA, currently have MSAA times 8 on. If we run into any problems, we will knock that down, because that is a little high. But from what I can tell, this game's texture quality seems to be the same as the 720p version on console. So I have a feeling that, assuming they ported it properly, my Titan should eat it for breakfast, but it's hard to say. Plus, I'm also streaming in 60 frames per second, so that's going to be a bit of a load on the computer. It may be that I won't be able to stream in 60 FPS, by the way. It's something that I'll try. I've done it before, and it's worked fairly well, but it's hard to say. Aside from that, you got Zenkaki, as well as Zantime and Shadow. These are all gameplay-related stuff. This is a little bit weird. It's like, adjust the time something remains after being severed. So, it's just clutter, I guess. Doodads. Zankeki adjusts the number of slices that can be performed on an enemy and object. I don't really know why that's a graphics option. That's a little strange. Yeah, it might be particle effect related. Aside from that, camera, vertical and horizontal can be done to normal and inverted, which is to be expected. Sensitivity options are only 10 different presets, which is not the best thing ever. Also, when you click backwards, it doesn't fucking work. So, it goes up regardless of what you do there. So that's pretty stupid. You can, however, change it with the keyboard, but not the mouse when clicking backwards. God knows why that is. Okay, standard controller settings for Xbox 360 controller. As you can see, key config is available with rebindables. And they look pretty playable. So you got WAS and D as to be expected. Tab is for walking, for stealth, mostly. Space is jump, light attack and strong attack. So it's exactly what you would expect for a character action game on a PC. It's very, very common. There are some kind of weird ones, like they still have the weapon select screen, which they really shouldn't. They don't need that, because we have more buttons than that, but they have that anyway. So you're probably going to have to deal with that. The UI is not that great. Okay, so yeah, that's the options menu. It's pretty bare bones, honestly. I was hoping for better than that, but never mind. Alright, let's go to story. As for this FOV slider bullshit, as usual with your meme crap, no. You don't need a FOV slider in a third-person game. Everybody knows that. Especially since it's not an over-the-shoulder game. Alright, Metal Gear Rising. Let's begin, shall we? Funnily enough, I can't actually remember how to play the game, but we'll skip the tutorial anyway. I'm sure I'll pick up on it. Yeah, I'm not really sure how the blade time thing is going to work. I do have a controller plugged in, so if it ends up being that way, then so be it. So cutscenes seem to be locked at 30 frames per second, which is fine. I mean, it's a cutscene. That's not a big deal. There's also a lot of film grain on this cutscene.
Years. We've come so far in just 3 short years.
The sign of a strong leader, sir.
No. The will of a strong people. And one very able advisor.
Thank you, sir.
Your team deserves credit as well.
Quite surprised to see that it lets you just have a cursor on the screen during a
Just
cutscene.
doing
That's a
our
little
job,
bit weird.
Mr. Prime Minister.
Usually you'll turn that off.
I must admit, I once thought of groups like yours as opportunists, enablers of war. But you've trained our new army well. Order has returned sooner than expected. Perhaps I was wrong about these private military companies.
We prefer private security providers, sir. Most of Maverick's contracts do focus on security.
Alright,
Yes,
question I
well,
suppose here is whether or not we can
security
skip
can
this.
mean many things.
Jesus, the texture on that is pretty bad. But it is a cutscene, so it's not that important, but texture
There's
quality
a
in
saying
general
about
is piss poor so far.
One sword keeps another in the sheath. Sometimes the threat of
Yes, you can skip. Okay, cool.
violence alone is a deterrent.
Bearing in mind, it's a Metal
Sometimes by
Gear game,
taking a
so there's
life,
quite a lot of cutscenes,
others
although
can be
less than you
preserved.
might expect.
It's the code the samurai lived by.
A soldier and a philosopher. You are full of surprises, Mr. Lightning Bolt.
I could say the same about you, Mr. Prime Minister.
That voice acting. Oh, Kojima.
What is happening?
Someone's blocking the lead vehicle.
Yeah,
Hold
the
on.
texture quality is the same as on the console, which is actually really disappointing, because the texture resolution should be a hell of a lot higher, and they certainly didn't make the textures in kind of 720p stuff to begin with. So, yeah, that's not too great. Have a look at my cyborg ass. Look at that. My big red sword.
I said clear the road! We're authorized to use force if you do!
He has a sword, he's probably going to attack you, bear that in mind. But what I will say is the cutscenes are fucking awesome. So, there's that. Oh yeah.
Leopard 1, U-turn. Turning back.
Yeah, as Dodgelink kind of pointed out, this could actually just be a big video file from the console version, and it may not actually be rendering. Although it seems unlikely considering you see a mouse cursor, so that indicates to me that the cutscene is rendering.
Open fire!
By default, I'm going to play keyboard and mouse, and if that doesn't end up working out well, I'll switch to controller.
Courtney, what is happening?
We got hit, sir. A cyborg.
Who's?
Exif comes up unaffiliated.
I'll notify all checkpoints. Get on money out of there.
Yes, sir.
I think this cutscene goes on for another few minutes at least.
We are going to die.
Stay calm.
He's got friends on our 12.
Raiden,
I'm on it. Guard the Prime Minister.
Alright, I think we actually get to slice some fools up for a little bit. Fucking love this bit. Yeah, I mean, you can really notice that the graphical fidelity is pretty weak. I mean, obviously you're watching a stream, so it's a bit more difficult to determine the texture quality, but I can see what the texture quality is like, and it's not incredible. Alright, let's see if it actually changes in the game. There we go. Alright. Okay, so the game is running at 60 FPS locked by the looks of it. Which is, to be expected, a little bit disappointing. I was kind of hoping that they would allow 120 frames per second, but it's definitely not the worst thing ever. Alright, the mouse control is really slow. I might have to turn that sensitivity way up. There we go, alright.
Take self-repair units from your foes to replenish your own supply. Right, the limo is in trouble. Get back there.
Let's have a quick look at textures.
I'll add the limo.
Yep, those are console quality, alright. Yeah, the textures don't get any better. Alright, so they basically just used the console textures and ported them right over, which is really disappointing. That sucks. Controls seem for the most part to work fine, although again, I think I need to vastly increase the mouse quality here. Let's up sensitivity both vertical and horizontal to 8. On default, it's really, really slow with the actual mouse. It takes forever to rotate the camera, which is not what you want in a game like this. I do appreciate... There we go, that's a little bit better. It kind of feels like there's a bit of mouse acceleration. It's hard to say. It might just be the camera. It's hard to determine whether or not mouse acceleration is actually on most of the time. But yeah, it does seem like there is some mouse acceleration. Aside from that, game is running at a rock solid 60. It seems like I don't know if I'm managing to maintain that on the stream. I'll have to check that later. Hopefully I am. Blade mode. Just, whoa, what the fuck? Let's just say that blade mode with the mouse is really not exactly what you would expect. I'll try to clear these enemies out. I'm deliberately letting myself get hit here, by the way, because I want to try and show the blade mode with the mouse. So, left click does a horizontal slice, this does a vertical slice. Free blade mode is moved around with the mouse, and it's just awful. Yeah, that does not work all that well at all. You kind of sort of wave it around in a general direction. If you want to be precise, then good luck. You can't do that with the mouse. I kind of expected this might be a problem, but it's more of a problem than I hoped. The standard combat seems to work fine. Blade mode, not so much. Which is unfortunate, because blade mode's hilarious. It lets you do things like this. Slicey, slicey! That, interestingly enough, actually lowered the frame rate. I have a feeling that chopping them up into tiny pieces may have... Yeah, that's actually dropping frames when I do that. So, that option, by the way, that we saw earlier, this one. Let's see. It was under graphics config. So, Zinkaki and Zantime actually will drop it below 60. So, it might... We're going to knock... Oh, wow, this is only... Oh, there we go. Medium. So, we're going to put medium on both of those. Because that actually does drop the frame rate down. I'm just checking my frames drop, by the way, and it claims that I'm definitely streaming out at 60. Haven't dropped a frame yet. Or at least on the actual streaming software. Is my sound level okay, by the way? It does seem like the game will be a bit loud. Please let me know in chat before I continue. It does tank like that on console, by the way. I tried it. When I was playing it on PS3, if you sliced up an enemy too much, you could absolutely affect the frame rate. So I'm going to knock that down to medium. Everything else is rock solid. I mean, I am running MSA 8x8 and 16 times anisotropic. So, you know, I'm putting a decent amount of load in it, and I'm streaming at 60 frames per second. So, the fact that it's actually staying at 60 is reasonably impressive, but one should bear in mind that all we're really seeing here, from what I can tell, is an upscaled 720p. There we go. I also need to remember how to do counters. I can't remember. Do you get counters first?
If you can't cut through the barricade, try the fence, eh?
That's one of my most favorite things about this game, is just the fact that you can slice that up. So yeah, I mean, my conclusion on the actual controls is that the standard combat works fine once you up the mouse sensitivity, but aside from that, you're gonna want to use a pad. And cutscenes are at 60 FPS. Be expected. Because fuck you, that's why. Yeah, it's upscale textures like in Dark Souls from what I can tell. It doesn't look any better. Well, it does look better than the console version because of AA and anisotropic, but that's about it. It looks like the console version. Pretty much a straight port. Yes, I fucking love this guy. To be fair, I love all the cutscenes in this game. This is one of those games where I'll absolutely accept there being cutscenes. They're just that good. I have a giant pair of scissors. Look at me. It may be that the weird thing is, like, the game's 24 gigs. It seems like there'd be uncompressed textures in there. It's just not using them. So, there may very well be fixes. But, unlike Dark Souls, it's not unplayable dreck. So, that I will give it credit for. I'm gonna switch over to controller.
Jack.
What do you want with the Prime Minister?
I want him dead. Nothing personal, of course. Africa's just getting a bit too peaceful.
Alright.
What?
Hopefully it shows the keys in
Business
controller
ain't been
now.
the same since they shut down SOP. A clean break from the war economy.
Damsel in distress trope.
Some of us like that economy.
Lovely.
How's an honest warmonger supposed to make a living?
This is your answer?
As far as I'm aware, there are no damsels in distress in this game. Unless you count Raiden.
Don't do it!
Don't worry now. I won't. Not while he's still useful.
The voice acting is comically hilarious.
So long.
Also, yes, now you fight that. This is the first boss in the game, and one of the slowest. Is there an option for... Don't believe so. Let me just double check. Actually, there might be. But right now, in-game, you can't change it. So I'd probably have to go back to the menu. If I go back to Japanese, that might be the way to do it. Why is the cursor on the screen? Is it in-game as well? No, it's not. Okay. I'll give him credit for that.
Take out that UMG and get after it.
There's some really weird stuff going on with the controls.
Use your ninja land to deflect those shots. They swapped out the hydraulic cutter for a blade cannon. Use blade mode to damage its armor. Use the ninja run to dodge the
Slicey. There we go. Yeah, this works a hell of a lot better with the analog stick, as you might imagine. There we go. Okay, well, that helps. Right, I sort of remember how to play now. Definitely can't say that I'm doing too well. Certainly not, but I've played this game a little while. Yeah, it's a lot more comfortable with the controller, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's because they screwed the controls up. I think there is the possibility that they screwed up the mouse acceleration, and that's something that needs to be fixed. But aside from that, it's really all they could do. Because these third-person character action games or spectacle fighters just don't work as well on a console. So that's to be expected. Knock out one of the legs. There we go. Slicey. Oh, blade mode is the most fun. God, I just love that. It is the most satisfying mechanic in a spectacle fight that I've seen in a long time. Oh, God. Look at it! There's so many pieces just came off that bastard. Yeah, but at medium, that doesn't hit the frame rate. At high, it seems like it does. Those look like they might explode. We might want to keep away from that. Okay. Apparently, in-game sound is a bit high now. All right, let me adjust that for you. Just a sec. Yeah, if there's any streaming issues, by the way, frame rate-wise, that's actually on Twitch's end, because I've currently encoded 90,000 frames and dropped 0. So, if you're not getting full 60 FPS, that's because of Twitch. Alright, I'm gonna slice a good 10-20% off the volume here. And we'll continue. Do let me know if it's too loud. I'd rather the game be too quiet than too loud, always. So just bear that in mind. Okay, standing there was a pretty stupid idea. Let's not do that again. Take off his legs, see if he gets angry. There you go. God, I love blade mode. I'm actually kind of happy to be able to play this on PC, even if it isn't actually all that improved from the console. Just because I like playing things on PC. But I'm disappointed that there's no real benefit to it. That said, the game is also like $24, so... Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. And the music for this game is sodding fantastic. Worth bearing that in. Oh, yes, now I remember why I love this thing. Fuck yes. That's the first boss. You have no idea.
Very good. But do not rest easy just yet, huh?
Combat rank A. Disappointing. Could have done a lot better than that. I'm just getting used to the game again. It's been a while since I played it. It's a similar reason why I love stuff like... What the hell was it? Damn, I can't remember the name of it now. That's really disappointing. Remember that game I played a long time ago with the angriest man in the universe? That game. And you have no idea. Like, this is the basic Raiden. And he's like, well, why doesn't he look like in the menu? Because you'll find out in a... I think in a few minutes. I don't know how long it goes on before the thing happens, which causes him to become more cybernetic than he was previously. But, yeah. So, Ninja Run is really, really nice because the platforming in this game is basically non-existent. You just hold the button and you run really fast and you do awesome shit, which is great. It's focused purely on fighting, pretty much like every other Platinum game. Or slicing things. It's like, oh, there's an obstacle? Well, we could have you jump over that. Or you could just slice it into pieces. Which is clearly the right answer. Asura's Wrath, that's the one, yeah. That was amazing in that respect. The thing is, this is actually a game, whereas Asura's Wrath is a set of QTEs. They're very good QTEs, don't get me wrong, but they're still a set of QTEs. Camera's a lot easier to control with the right mouse stick. What is a right mouse stick? Oh yeah, there's that. They have another one. I forgot to mention that.
It still works?
Fun times. Here we go. Might want to not be anywhere near that thing. Oh, okay, you can't. Right, I guess you have to jump it then. No. Ah. Okay. Lol. I can't actually remember how you beat that. Huh. It's been a while. Yeah, it is the same guy. We did slice it right down the middle, and it didn't make a damn bit of difference. I think maybe I have to go to the full right side. Can you jump it? Possibly. Well, I took damage from it anyway, so... Maybe you just have to stop it with blade mode before it fires, otherwise you take damage. Seems like a possibility. What the? Oh, yes. Cut missiles out of the air. Because fuck you, that's why. I guess you can jump him. You gotta be a bit more careful. Whoa! Okay, there we go. Getting used to it again. Blade mode is not the right option here. Neither was standing under his fist.